Hello everyone, welcome back to the lecture series of 71-day course for the preparation of CEED examination. As you are aware, in the series of lectures of 71-day course, we're going to cover the entire syllabus of CEED examination, including part A and part B, that is the reasoning part, the designability part, which is a computer-based test, and also the sketching test, that is the second part. So we are going to cover the entire portion in these series of 71 lectures, and today in this particular session our focus is shifting towards a new module, that is logical reasoning of part A. So we have categorized, to just give you a recall on the overall say pattern or overall structure for this 71-day course. We have divided into part A and part B, wherein in part A we are having 4 modules: analytical aptitude, visual and spatial reasoning, logical reasoning, and also design knowledge and creativity. Today's session we're going to start with the module of logical reasoning. That's where we are in today's lecture. So this module of logical reasoning will be scheduled from day 15 till day 22. Today on day 15 we are going to look into the topic of sequence and series. So these topics, particularly the logical reasoning and also visual and spatial reasoning part, practice is the key to have a good score in this part A. Overall part A itself is something where practice is the most crucial aspect. So sequences, we are going to learn some tricks. So the way we are approach for this particular session will be, we'll first try to understand the categories. What are the possible types of questions you have in this subtopic of sequence and series in logical reasoning. We'll practice some questions which will help you come up with strategies in order to help you answer the questions effectively in the examination. However, the most crucial aspect is what you need to do, that is practice. So we have practice questions, practice sheets and tests which will be uploaded on our mobile application, link for which is available in the description of the video. You can download our app. There are a lot of tests which are also available for free. You can access those and also practice your questions. So more about the practice and practice questions, will come to it moving further. First, let us look into the topic of sequence and series, which is our focus for today's session. So to begin with, let us try to understand the category. So if you look into the past papers of CEED examination and also similar other competitive exams like UCEED, you will find that under sequence and series. So in first instance, from the name itself, you understand sequence and series is where you have a sequence or a series of figures wherein you'll need to identify the upcoming figure or the next figure. So you will have some question marks over there in the series. You'll need to find out which option will fit into the question mark. You can see over here, even here there's a question mark. You need to select which option will fit into that question mark over here too. So that is something which is a common theme in these sequence based questions. However, broadly categorizing, the questions can be of mainly 4 categories. In this session also we'll be covering the questions, practice questions, mainly of 4 models. The first model is where you have something based on, so wherein the given diagram itself is obtained by rotation or translation. That would be the first area wherein the questions would be based on rotation and translation. Translation as in movement. So if you see, there are 2 figures over here, 2 polygons, one in pink and the other in say violet. There is some arrangement, there is some change in the rotation and translation or position of those objects or those elements. So accordingly you'll need to find what is missing. So that would be a first model wherein we'll be focusing on rotation and translation based questions. The second model is where you have a grid composition. Grid composition is wherein you don't necessarily have a sequence, but you have an arrangement in the form of a grid, and something in that grid would be missing and you'll need to identify what would be fitting into that. So the second model would be grid composition based questions, wherein you have an arrangement. We'll solve all these questions. These are past CEED questions. Some are also from other competitive exams of similar standard like UCEED, for instance. We'll look into all these models. So translation and rotation and translation. Then you have grid composition. Third model, which is a combination of the first and second basically. You have a composition, but there is some translation and rotation in the composition itself. As a whole, there's a composition, and that composition itself is changed. You can see there's some composition of some elements, that arrangement of the elements itself is changing. There can be translation, there can be changing of order within the composition. So this is basically arrangement of elements. That would be a third model, which is based on arrangement of elements. There are various elements which are forming a composition. The arrangement of it or the sequence of it keeps on changing, based on which you need to see what would be the correct composition which comes next. So that is something which you have as the third model. The fourth and final model is some of which are of miscellaneous types. We will also solve some miscellaneous questions which probably will not fit. Majority of the questions will fit into the first three categories, either rotation and translation based questions wherein the objects will rotate or change the position, or grid arrangement, or a combination of them wherein there is arrangement of elements and the arrangement itself is changing in the options. So these are the three main models. The fourth one is some miscellaneous questions. We are going to look into example questions in each and every model, and also our practice questions, practice sheets of tests which has been uploaded on our app also will encompass all these models of questions. So make sure you watch this video completely, understand the basics of these four models of questions in sequence and series, and then practice the questions from our mobile application as well. So to begin with the first, like I said, four parts we're going to cover: sequence and series. We are going to begin with the first part, that is rotation and translation, wherein the objects itself will rotate or move in terms of position. Let us look into some models. So now these, like I said, in logical reasoning, understanding models and the applicable tricks for every model, that is important. So this discussion on some questions will help you build up your strategy to answer these questions. You can use similar approach in practicing your questions, and also later on in the examination. Practice again and repeating, that's the most crucial aspect in logical reasoning. So let us begin. This is a past CEED question from the paper 2024. It is a multiple choice question. So you have a arrangement of two polygons. Basically, there's one in pink and the other in violet. You have an arrangement of it, and they're asking what would be in this place of the question mark. So if you observe carefully, in questions where you have a given object or something repetitive but changing in orientation, you can clearly observe that there is some change in the angle of these polygons. So let us try to look into these objects one by one. If you look, so there are two objects of interest here, one pink and the other violet, two polygons. Let us first observe the pink polygon only. If you look into the pink polygon, the one which is in pink over here, so just try to observe. Now remember, observation is key in such questions, and it is always easy if you can look into some part which is easy, distinct in that diagram. So if you look into this particular object, the distinct feature is this symmetrical V-shaped point. So this particular vertex, wherein you have two sides, so it is not a regular polygon with all sides of same length. All the sides are different, but there are two sides which are approximately same in length, and they are forming a vertex over here. So just observe that vertex. If you look into that vertex, the same two sides, now the angle is a bit different over here. Again, if you observe it over here, the angle is even more different over here. So if you observe the position with respect to horizontal line, if I draw a horizontal line for all these three, so this angle, it keeps on reducing. It is ready. So basically this object is rotating in the clockwise direction. So you rotate it, you get this object. Rotate it again by clockwise, you get this object. So that's the sequence. Even here, if you see the same two objects, two lines forming the vertex, that also it is even more tilting over here, right? So it's further rotating in clockwise direction. So you're observing that the object in the series, that the pink polygon, that should be a clockwise rotation of this one. So if you so basically we'll need to select something between this position and this position, right? If you look into the pink polygon, one is over here like this, the other over here. So we need to select an object which is something between these two, or position something between those two. So probably if you observe the options, this for sure cannot be the answer. Remaining three have the same position. It is something between this and this. So A, B or C can be the answer, but not D. always elimination approach works well in the examination. And taking time in the exam, you'll not have so much of time, but once you practice, you will have the skills required to answer the questions quickly. Time is also important. That's the reason I was emphasizing on practice. So work on elimination approach. That always works for almost all questions. Whichever is not correct, you can eliminate it. Let us look into the second polygon, second object of interest, that is the one in violet. If you look at that polygon, let us see again, try to look into a distinct feature. Now it can be something whichever you feel is convenient. You can also take again the same vertex with two symmetric sides. You can select that, or you can select any other distinct vertex, whichever you feel is easy to identify. If you observe those, again there's some sort of rotation which you observe over here. I'm marking those two sides. So just observe what type of rotation you see in this particular polygon. So the vertex is over here, then it is shifting over here, shifting over here. So the rotation which you observe, that's an anti-clockwise rotation which you see. So this object, it is having even here too, further anti-clockwise rotation. So basically we'll need to select the position of this object which is between this and this, which is not so tilted like this, which is not so straight. So if I'm talking about straight and a tilted orientation, here it's almost vertical, right? So this is tilted like this. So we're talking about a tilt, something between this and this. So if you observe the tilt over here for this particular option, the tilt is this way. That cannot be the answer. Here it is even more vertical, right? So this is the edge we are talking about. So, and here if I see where is the so there's no vertex which we actually have observed, the symmetrical vertex. So this cannot be the answer too. So the correct answer will be something between. So we are talking about a tilt between this and this. So if I mark carefully, let me draw a neat diagram. So we are looking into this particular vertex. That's the orientation over here. That's the vertex we're talking about. The orientation is tilted. So we want an orientation which is even more vertical or towards straight orientation than this, and not so inclined like this. An anti-clockwise rotation. So an anti-clockwise rotation would give you this orientation. So the correct answer will be option B. So it is just based on observation that you see. To summarize this question quickly, there are two objects. One is rotating clockwise and the other is rotating anti-clockwise. You just need to check the orientations properly and eliminate the incorrect options, and select an option which fits well into the orientation and the position which we are talking about in the given sequence. Now let me tell you one point. In the examination in such questions, it's not necessary that the series is always this way. So it might take us some time and some iterations to know that the sequence is this, in this 1 2 3 4 5 6. Might take us some time. Sometimes the sequence can also be this way: 1 2 3 4 5 and 6, the final one. So it will take you some time to observe carefully and understand which figure. So is it the fourth one or the sixth one in the series? So it is sometimes marked, sometimes not marked. So you need to work on it carefully. Practice will give you a better confidence in answering such questions in the examination. So work on these techniques. Elimination approach, that's number one. Number two, observe the given sequence and look into identifiable features. Like I have taken the vertex with two sides of same length. So identifiable features, always look for that. These are some tricks which can help you. Look for identifiable features. Identifiable features in the given sequence, and other than that you can work on elimination approach. Try to eliminate the incorrect options in the given say A, B, C, D, the 4 options. So try to eliminate the incorrect option. That should work. So work on such aspects. Practice is the only way you can get perfection in this. Moving on to the next question again, which is also based on translation and rotation. Let us try to look into this. This also is a CEED 2024 question, wherein you have a sequence given and they're asking us what comes in this sequence or what comes in this series next. So if you observe, in all these options and also the question figures, there are two hexagons which are a smaller one which is fitting into a larger hexagon. There's a small hexagon, a small regular hexagon fitting into a larger regular hexagon. Even all the options also have the same thing. Now let us see what is the change you see. Always look for a change which you are observing in the next figure. Just to have a understanding on our say guess, or have an understanding on our just to have confidence on our say identifiable feature, we have multiple points given, like there are 4 figures. So see what is changing between 1 and 2 and try to observe if you have a same change in the third one and then the same change in the fourth one. That gives us the proof of concept. So look for the proof of, first see what is the change from 1 to 2 and then look for proof of concept. That's the only way which you can work with these series based questions. Come up with a point, come up with an understanding of the change, then look for the proof of concept. Let me do the same thing over here. So firstly, what do I see as a change between 1 and 2? The position of the, so the outer hexagon, that's exactly same in all the figures. What is changing? The inner hexagon's position and the lines along its vertices. Those are changing. So what is the change in the position? In this first one, the regular hexagon is aligned with the top over here. In the second one, the regular hexagon is slightly shifting. There's a slight shift towards this. So that's the reason this vertex, there's a straight line over here that is becoming an angular one. Here also at the bottom, this is straight. That is also slightly becoming an angular one, which is shifting slightly towards the right. Let us see if there's a similar shift in the next figure. So the next figure, the shift is again this way. So there's a change. So if you hold this central hexagon, the smaller one, and rotate it, so there's a rotation of it, which is giving a furthermore tilt of these vertices, right? In the next figure, it is rotating even more further, coming over here, right? So there's a change in the length of the line on the top also. So what do you observe? It's basically shift in the position of the inner hexagon, which in the orientation of which is not changing. It is staying in the same way. Regular hexagon, which is not changing in its angle, but its position is changing. It is rotating in terms of its position. The position was over here towards the top. It is slightly shifting towards the right, which is slightly shifting towards the right hand bottom. Then the next position should ideally be something which is at the lower end. So this is at the top, shifting towards the right. This is extreme right. Then the shift is towards the bottom. So it's this way. If I talk about north, so firstly the position was towards north, then it was northeast, then it comes to east or right hand side, then it is coming to southeast. Now the next position should be south, that is the lower part. So there are 2 such options. Now this cannot be the answer. Try to eliminate again, always work for elimination approach. This position is northeast position, that cannot be correct. Here the position is towards southwest, that also cannot be the answer. These 2 can be the possible answers, A or B, wherein the smaller hexagon is in the lower end of the larger hexagon. So I'm using the words north, south, east, west for understanding. You can also understand as top, bottom, right, left. So there should be a bottom orientation, or the position of the smaller hexagon, it should be in the lower half of the larger hexagon. So A and B both can be correct. Now of these 2, which will be the correct answer? For that, let us try to observe the lines over here. So here there's a vertical orientation of these lines, smaller and the larger one. The lines are shifting slightly in angle this way. The angle is further increasing and the length is almost same. Here the length is larger and this is a smaller one. In the next case, the position should be in such a way that these lines become straight, almost straight. So the answer, so you have straight orientation with the larger line at the top, that is in option B. So this will be the correct answer. The next, if you have had this figure over here and then have a question mark, then this could be the answer, wherein the position is slightly now shifting towards the left and these lines are again becoming angular, tilting towards the other side. So if I draw the lines on the top and bottom, the original lines in first figure were like this. In the second figure, the length of the top line, that is slightly increasing, the length of the bottom line, that is slightly decreasing, and the angle is becoming like this. Next figure, the lines are almost of same length and both are inclined further. The next figure, the one on the top, that is larger, and then this is smaller with a tilt this way. Now the tilt is becoming almost straight. So the next figure, it should be a larger line and a smaller line over here. So the position of the hexagon, inner hexagon, is shifting, or its position is rotating in terms of clockwise orientation, which gives us B as the correct answer. So look for there's no rotation of the hexagon itself, but there's a shift in the position. There's a rotation of the position of the inner hexagon from north to south, or from top to bottom. So B will be the correct answer for this. So look for a change between the first two figures and look for the proof of concept and then apply it to the last figure. That should be your approach, and that's how we can solve these questions. Let us look into one more question, which is also based on the same concept of rotation and translation. Rotation and translation is wherein the objects or the parts of the object will rotate or will change in their orientation or position. If you look into this, this is a past UCEED question from 2024 again. Which option will replace the question mark? So there's a change which you see. One thing which is very clear is the given three figures. There are three figures given. The fourth one you need to know. The given three objects or three figures or compositions, they're all composed of four quarter circles. That is something which you have to first observe. So look for, again, that's again a trick. Look for what is common, look for what is changing, and then look for proof of concept. That is the sequence of steps we are following. Just don't understand or see what we are solving. Try to look into the underlying approach which we are having. So firstly, what is the common feature here? Same thing works for all these questions too. What was the common thing in all these? Every composition is made of two polygons, two hexagons, which are not regular hexagons. That is common. Then we looked for what is changing. There's a change of the angle. One is moving clockwise, the other is moving anti-clockwise. So that is the change. Then we look for proof of concept. Is that correct or not? So that's the approach which you need to have. Even here, what is common? Two hexagons, smaller one fitting into a larger one without changing orientation. So that's that's the common thing. What is changing? The change of the position is the position of the inner hexagon, that is shifting in a clockwise orientation, right? So same thing over here. Firstly, what is common? Common feature is that every composition is composed of four quarter circles. This is four quarter circles. This also is four quarter circles. This also is four quarter circles. Right? That's the common thing. Everything is made of four commons. Now look for the change. What is changing in these sequence, and let us look for proof of concept also. Firstly, if you see this portion of the quarter circle, it is not changing. The same quarter circle with same position and same orientation is seen in this figure also. Let us now look for proof of concept. Are you having the same orientation in the next figure? Yes, you're having the same orientation. So what does that tell us? The next figure also should have the same orientation of this quarter circle. Let us see if you can eliminate any option using this concept. This has the same orientation of that quarter circle, same orientation of that quarter circle. This doesn't have the same orientation of the quarter circle in this position, on the right hand left position, on the left hand bottom position. So this can be eliminated. Now this, it is a correct orientation, so this also can be the answer. So we have eliminated one option till now by just looking into this quarter circle. Let us now look into the next part, next object or next quarter circle. There are four quarter circles. We have to look into each of these to come up with the concept of change or what is changing in the series. So if you look into this next one, let me observe this. This particular quarter circle, it is changing, or you can say it is basically being rotated by 90 degrees. Say this is rotated by 90 degrees. That's when you get this particular object. You rotate this by say 90 degrees again. Is that what you're getting? It should basically be this, right? So if you're not able to visualize, you can look at it like this. First, in the first figure, the position was this one, this quarter. It was this. The next figure, you're having this, right? So let me just draw it out separately. It will be easy to visualize that way. This is in the first figure. I'm talking about this quarter circle. The same quarter circle rotated by 90 degrees. This is what you will get. Is that the figure you're having? No. So that's not 90 degree rotation. Let us do it one more step. 180 degree rotation. Are you getting? If you're flipping it by 180 degrees, so you will first get it as this quarter circle, then rotate it by 90 degrees again, you'll get this, right? So it is a 180-degree rotation. This quarter circle, it is rotating by 180 degrees, and that's when you're getting the next one. Let us try to observe, look for the proof of concept now. If I'm flipping this or rotating it by 180 degrees, am I getting the next one? So this object is mainly given for proof of concept. Let us see if that's the correct change which we have observed. 180-degree clockwise rotation. So this particular quarter circle, I'll need to flip it or rotate it by 180 degrees clockwise. 180-degree clockwise. So firstly, 90-degree clockwise, what will I get? Rotated by 90 degrees. This is the object which I'll get. Rotated by 90 degrees again, I'll be getting this, right? So this should be the correct orientation. Am I getting that over here? Yes. So it's again a 180-degree clockwise rotation. So let us apply the same concept for the next, again the same quarter circle will again rotate by 180 degrees to get the object over here. So this was the quarter circle we had. Rotated first by clockwise rotation by 90 degrees, you will get this. Again a clockwise rotation by 90 degrees, you will get this. So this object is going to be over here. So that the quarter circle is going to be this one. Let me tell you a trick over here, shortcut for this. You can observe that the initial position number 1 is same as position number 3. If you apply the same logic, position number 2 should again repeat in position number 4, the same quarter circle. So you're having the same quarter circle in 1 and 3. Same quarter circle should also be seen in 2 and 4. So that's the concept over here. So let us see from the remaining options, which all options have this correct orientation. This right away you can eliminate. So this quarter circle is not correct, even though the first one was correct. The second quarter circle is not meeting this particular orientation. So A is also eliminated. B can be an answer, right? D also can be an answer. Now let us see which among B and D can be correct by looking into some other quarter circle. You can look into any of the 4 quarter circles and see if you can look into a change and see if that is being followed into the next one. Let us observe this. So this quarter circle, with what change are you getting the next one? This quarter circle, you're able to get it by flipping it along this way. You can also talk in terms of rotation, or you can also see in terms of axis. It will be easier if you look into the flip. It is flipped along this vertical axis to get the next one. Flip this along the vertical axis again. This should be the next third figure. Are you getting this in the third figure? Probably no. So it should be a rotation based concept. It's not based on X and Y axis. So see what is changing. So you see, I have observed something changing from 1 and 2. I've observed the same thing and have seen if that is being followed in the third figure. Obviously that was not being followed, so you don't have the proof of concept. Go back to the first one again. See what is changing between 1 and 2. So initially this was the orientation. Let us see what is the rotation which will give us this particular orientation. So you have to first rotate it by 90 degrees in the anti-clockwise direction. If I have a 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation, what's the figure you get? This is the figure I'll get. So basically it is a 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation. Let us see, will a 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation give us the figure in the position of the third composition? Let us observe once. 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation again. This particular line, it will become a vertical one. This particular line, it will become a horizontal one, and this will be the curve. Are you getting that? Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm getting. So I have the proof of concept now. For the fourth figure again, you should have a 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation. So if you rotate again it by 90 degrees, this vertical line will become a horizontal line. This horizontal line will become this vertical line. This should be the quarter circle. So this should be the position of this particular place. So let me draw that over here. So it should be like this. So that's the correct position in option B. Among B and D, you see this is the exact same position which I was looking for. This is not the same position, right? So D also is eliminated. So the answer for this particular question will be B. So look for the change between 1 and 2. Look for the proof of concept in the next figure and then apply it for the question mark or for the next figure in the sequence. So you can look into either rotation or flipping or position, but always look for the proof of concept. Just don't come up with a theory by looking into only two figures. So that's about this particular question. Try to follow the same approach in answering the questions of this particular model. I hope that was helpful till here. As I was talking talking about the importance of practice, for that you have a lot of free resources on a mobile app, the link for which is in the description. So once you download our mobile application, the link for both Android application and also iOS application are in the video, in the description of this video. Once you download the mobile application of KP Exam Prep and once you log into it, you'll be having the option of store at the bottom center part. If you can select this store over here, you have all the courses which we have published on this app of various courses including CEED, UCEED, NID, NIFT and so on. So you can check out the CEED lecture series. You have various categories. Look for the CEED category and there's a 71-day course. So on our application, there's a 51-day course for NATA and GE. There's a 61-day course for UCEED examination. The 71-day course, however, that will be for the preparation of CEED examination. So you can click on the store, select this CEED category and you can purchase the 71-day course over there by clicking on the relevant course for you. Other than that, if you're looking for free resources including practice tests and also documents, you can click on the 3 horizontal lines which you have on the left hand top corner. The side tray opens up and that's where you will have this option of free material. You can select free material, under which you have various free documents, free videos and also tests. You can select the relevant CEED. So under the documents tab, you have various folders. You can look for the CEED folder where you have the relevant free documents which are provided by us by KP classes. In the free material documents tab, similarly, you can watch the free videos over there and also practice free tests relevant for CEED and UCEED examination. For CEED, you have free mock tests also available. By selecting the test category, you can practice those mocks or free say sample tests which are available for your self understanding. So that's something which can be helpful for you. You can check out the description to find out the relevant links. Let us now move on to the next model. So we have looked into some examples of questions where there is rotation and translation. What was the approach? Underlying approach is the most important thing which you have to remember. The underlying approach, look for the change between 1 and 2, first figure and second figure, look for the change and come up with the reason for that change, what is happening and why or what way is it happening. Then look for the proof of concept, see if the same change is being seen from second to third, and then apply the same to fill in the question mark. So this is a 3-step approach we saw. And in this, remember to eliminate the incorrect options at every step. So that's number 1, the first model. Let us now look into the next model. The approach can be slightly different for the second model. So once you have a sequence and series based question in the examination, look for the model and then try to apply the relevant logic or the underlying concept which will work fine for that model. Now to come up with these approaches, it is important to have sufficient practice, like I said. So grid composition, that's number 2. Let us look into the example questions of this model from past CEED examination. You can practice questions of all these models by looking into the free tests available on our mobile app, like I said. So this is a CEED 2023 question, again an MCQ one, which is an arrangement. So this is basically a grid composition. There are some elements which are arranged in the form of a grid. Something in that grid is missing and you'll need to identify. So in most cases for these grid based questions, now see, why do you need to arrange elements in the form of a grid? So, or grid in other words is made out of columns and rows. So most of the cases, not always, but in most of the cases, there has to be something in that arrangement related to columns and rows. So look for something common in the rows and columns here. So if you observe over here, there are some figures given, 2-dimensional objects given, circle, square, triangle. So starting with circle, then you have a triangle, then you have a square, you also have pentagons, Other than that, you also have a hexagon like the orange ones, that is hexagon. There is no heptagon, there's no seven-sided figure. So if you see the number of sides, that is basically changed. There are no sides in a circle. If I talk about vertices otherwise, there are 0 vertices over here. There are 3 vertices in a triangle. There are 4. You cannot have a 2D object with 2 vertices. You can have it with 0 vertices or right away 3 vertices. You cannot have a two-dimensional figure with 2 vertices. It will be just a line. It's not a 2D shape, right? So this shape has 3 vertices. Then you have a square with 4 vertices. All these are regular hexagons. This is regular hexagon, regular pentagon. This has 5 vertices and this has 6 vertices, right? These are the objects which you have in the overall grid arrangement. Now see what is common in the rows or columns. So it might take some iterations, like you have 2 squares over here, 1 square over here, no square over here, again no square over here. So that is not something which is common, or which is can be seen as a sequence. Or see, if there are 2 objects of same time in every row, here you have 2 squares, here you have 3 triangles, not 2, right? So that is also not common. Now because there is something changing in the, so each and every element, the number of vertices is different in the overall composition. Let us count the number of vertices and see. You have 6 vertices over here, 4 over here, 4 over here, and 0 vertices over here. You have 5 vertices over here, and then let us see in terms of columns. You have 6 vertices, 5 vertices, 3 vertices, 0 vertices. Here you have 4 vertices, 4 vertices, 3 vertices, and 3. Let us just add up and see this. I'm just trying, so it's like hit and trial method. You need to see. However, randomly hit and trial might take you a lot of time. If you're having some approach, like I said, in the grid compositions, it is some you need to look for something common in the columns or rows. That's the reason you're having a grid arrangement. Grid arrangement is always made of rows and columns, right? So let us see the columns. Let me add up the number of vertices. 6 plus 5, 11. 11 plus 3, I'm having 14 vertices. Here, 4 plus 4, 8. 8 plus 3, that is 11. 11 plus 3, 14 vertices again. I found something common. Always look for the proof of concept. Let me see if there are 14 vertices in the total, the third row also. 4, 0, this is 5, and this also is 5. So 5 plus 5, 10. 10 plus 4 is again 4. So I have my proof of concept now. So the figure which has over here should add up the total number of vertices in this column also to 14. So there is 0. Here you have 3 vertices and 6 vertices. So 6 plus 3 is 9. So the figure over here, that should have 5 vertices. So 5 vertices is basically a pentagon. So the answer for this has to be option C. So answer has to be pentagon. Now remember, it is very much possible that some other logic also applies for this question, because of which the answer could be something else in the examination, in the CEED examination, or also in the UCEED examination. Once you have the answer key, there will be a time where you can contest the answer key. So some other logic, let us say, using that if the answer is coming out to be triangle. But here I have used some logic, have the proof of concept, then I have found out the answer. So if this approach fits in for any question, you can always contest, and they will include the answer for this approach as well. So it is very much possible that the person who designed this question did not want this particular logic to apply, was thinking of something else. But once you find a logic which fits into this question and you contest it, that will be considered and the answer key will be updated, and that has been done in the past also. So always look for the change. Have proof of concept. Only after the proof of concept you'll need to answer the next correct answer. Probably in this question you can also see the number of vertices in the rows also adds up to 14. I think 6 plus 4 plus 4, 14. 3 plus 3 plus 5 plus 3, 4 3, 12. No, probably, right? The rows are not adding up to 14. Here it is 6 plus 5, and this is 14. Acha, this is also 3 3 is 9, 9. So that also is adding up to 14. Even in the rows, it is adding up to 14. So this is 5 plus 4, that is 9. So this has to be a 5-sided object. So even in the rows, the total number of vertices add up to 14. Right? So 5-sided object should be the answer. So either way you see in terms of rows or columns, you'll get the same answer. So answer has to be C for this particular question. So let us now move on to the next one. a grid arrangement again. So there is an arrangement of various figures in the form of a grid in terms of rows and columns. So we have to identify the missing objects. There are three missing objects, not one. 1, 2 and 3. So you will have to select the correct answer for 1, 2 and 3. The correct figure for 1, also 2, also 3. Remember, this is third one. This is 3, this is 1. So look for the correct position. Many people, many students tend to have a mistake by thinking this is 1, this is 3 also. So that mistake happens because generally we write languages which move from most of you write languages from right to left, so it is very much possible to have an error. You think this is 1 and this is 3. Don't do such mistakes. So look into the given position very carefully. So if you look into common features again, let us see what is common and then try to apply the same logic to have the correct answer. Over here, the first row, the position of square. So just try to observe the squares. We'll think about the remaining black portion later on. If you look into the squares, square resting on the flat surface like this, that's what you have in the first column, first row. In the second row, in the second column, the square is tilted at 45 degrees. In the third row, the square is again flat with respect to horizontal. In the fourth column, again the square is tilted at 45 degrees. In the fifth column, again the square is flat in all the figures. In the next column, all the squares are tilted at 45 degrees. So one thing we are sure of is the figure number 1 has to have square which is inclined 45 degrees. So figure number 1, so these are the options I have for figure number 1. So I can right away eliminate A and B. The inclined option, you have it in C and D. So C and D, any one of these can be correct. Let us look into the other second figure. The second figure, the column of second figure has all the squares inclined at 45 degrees. So the second figure should also be an inclined, so it should be an inclined square at 45 degrees. This is an inclined square, this is an inclined square, this is an inclined square, this is flat. So this also cannot be the answer, right? But then you cannot right away answer, give the correct answer as C. Let us check the third figure also. The third figure, square has to be one which is not inclined. It is flat, right? So this can be the answer, this can be the answer, this can be the answer, and not this. Right? So we just need to see if the option which I have selected till now is the third figure also following the same rule. So the third figure has to be a flat square, and I do have a flat square in the option which I have selected. So my answer will be option C, which is correct for the logic which I applied for all the three figures. So if the logic applies only to 1 and 2, the third one is not following this logic, then it means my approach is incorrect. I'll need to look for some other logic. So what did we do over here? I came up with a logic that in a given column, all the squares should be of same type of orientation. In 1 and 2, figure number 1, figure number 2, I have using those two, I have eliminated all the incorrect options, and I thought C will be correct. But I have checked that logic for the third figure also, and it is applying, or that is correct for the third figure too. So that's when you need to select the answer. If it doesn't work for the third figure, you need to come up with a new logic, look for the black portion, see what is changing in it, and then you need to work on for the correct option, correct answer. So that should be the approach which you have for these grid based questions. Look for the columns and rows, common feature in columns, common feature in rows. However, it might not always be in terms of columns and rows. For instance, over here, this question is a past CEED question where you need to fill in this particular portion of the grid composition. Now here, do you have something common? Obviously there can be column and row approach over here too, but all these are circles with half of it colored. So if you see the orientation of the colored portion or the shaded portion, that is changing. So we should look for the common feature over here, what is common, and apply that logic to the missing part. So it will take you some time to see what is repetitive, what is common here, but something which some part which you can easily say identify once you spend some time on this composition. One easy identifiable feature you see is these two. The top portion is shaded, these two also, the top portion is shaded, so these portions are same. Next, Let me look for the proof of concept now. So just randomly see what is the feature repetitive. Look for the proof of concept. Are these two circles same as the ones over here? Incidentally, yes, I have the same two circles over here too. So why am I looking for only two in pairs? Because the missing portion also, they are talking about pairs of circles. So I was looking for pairs of circles instead of any individual one. So we are talking about pairs of circles which are repetitive. Just let me look for proof of concept in a random place, probably something over here. Let us see, do I have the same two circles over here too? Yes. So any two circles, the same orientation is also found in the just below it in the next previous row. So just below it in the previous column. So any two circles, if you take any two circles like this, the same two circles are also visible just below it in the previous column. Just below it in the previous column. So these two circles on the top, they have to be same as just below the next pair of circles just below it in the previous column. So in my correct option, the orientation has to be for the first two, it has to be like this, shaded on the top, then shaded on the right. This will be in the top two portion. Top two circles will be of this sort. So A can be correct, B can be eliminated, C can also be eliminated. In fact, D can also be eliminated. I'm just looking for the top two. That has to be of this orientation. So only one option is meeting. Let us see if the next two as well. Let us see the bottom two circles also. Let us apply the same logic. It has to be same as these, just below it in the previous column. So it has to be left portion shaded, then the bottom half shaded. Left portion shaded and the bottom half shaded. So A option is meeting, is exactly what applies to the logic which I have looked for. So the correct option, correct answer has to be option A. So I have looked for something which is common or repetitive in the arrangement, have looked for enough cases of proof of concept, then applied it for the missing part. So when will you have say, if you spend enough time, probably you will be able to answer all the questions, but the trick is answering it within time. So to do that, practice again is most crucial. So let us now move on further. But if you wish to practice, now this is just the aptitude and reasoning part. This, as I'm sure you are aware, in the CEED examination, for the aptitude part, you just need to qualify it. The marks high, there will be a higher weightage for the sketching part. Unlike UCEED examination, in UCEED examination, the weightage is same, equal for the sketching part and also in the final score. So you have enough weightage for the computer-based test as well. But in CEED examination, computer-based test will have a lesser weightage than the sketching part, right? So if you are willing to, if you want to practice sketching questions, there are premium workbooks designed by KP classes, wherein you have a book with a lot of questions and space for practice and sketching. So you can work on these set of books. So you can also purchase our study material set for your self practice of the questions for the CEED and UCEED examination. Let us now move on to the third model, which is again an important model of questions for this sequence and series based questions, that is arrangement of elements, which essentially is a combination of these two. In the first one, the objects were rotating or changing in their position. Grid composition, it is an arrangement in the form of a grid, it's a grid composition. The next one, it is composition, but there's an arrangement of elements in each composition. That arrangement changes. So it is a combination of the first and second, basically. So let us look into some questions of this model as well. So they have given some symbols or some elements which are repetitive. So you can see, first thing you need to see is the elements are the same in every composition and every box. In this box you have 2x, the same 2x shaped orientations are seen in every box, right? I'm having a symbol of this and I'm having the same symbol once everywhere, one and in every box. So the symbols or elements are same in every box, that will not change, right? Other than that, you need to see what will come in this place of question mark. Now if you observe, this is a question which will need to work from left to right. So see what is changing over here. look for proof of concept, and then apply the same logic for the question mark or the missing part. So if you do that, one thing you can first observe over here, if look for pairs, look for symbols. In fact, you can look for any object and see where that object is going in the next composition. So the position of, say, this part, let us say the X over here, then the symbol, right? So if you observe this part, you have the same two objects in the same pair over here. Moving further, am I having the same two objects again? Probably. In fact, you can observe for these three. There is an X, this symbol, and an X. X, the same symbol, and an X. So there is a shift. It is basically moving in this way, shifting in position this in this way. Let us say I have the same shift again. So I have X going over here, and then these two over here, right? So the next one, ideally applying the same logic. Now this object should go to this position. X should come over here. So am I having that? Yes, this symbol is coming to the right hand corner. Then I'm having X and an X. X and an X. In the next object, for the same logic, this X has to go to the right hand corner. Then there will be and X and the symbol. And X and the symbol. In the next object, obviously on the right hand corner, I should have this and. Then I should be having X over here. Then this symbol and an X over here. So look for the option. So I have seen some pattern followed. I have applied I have checked for the proof of concept, and I had enough proof, and that's when I'm coming up with this particular arrangement of the elements in that sequence. So is there an option which is meeting this particular orientation? So you see, I'm not just having one, but all the four. So if I have an option where only one of the element is matching, let us say if I'm just looking for the position, say something only for this X over here. So probably there is only one option, but then just having one object matching might not be sufficient. I should have an option where all the four are matching. I think I have that over here, this part. So A should be the correct answer as per this logic. If you have time in the examination, to just be assured, because there will be negative marking, to be assured, you can look for some other pattern also, some other aspect which is repetitive, and see if you're having the same option A as the answer for that also, yes or no. Let us look for that. So in this particular approach, I have looked for these four. So these four are interchanging in their position, just rotating. So and is coming to this place, then X, the symbol over here, and then this X is coming to the right hand corner, and then there's a shift. So there's always a shift in this manner. So the shift is this way. The one from the top is coming to the right hand corner at the bottom. So this sequence is seen. I have enough proof of concept for every step. That's only option A meets that particular logic, applies to that logic. So I have selected that. If you want, you can, as I told you, you can look for the other parts also. So if you see these two objects over here, these two elements, they are on the top row, in the top row, left and right, right? So again, top, left and right, they will be coming to the bottom row, right? Top, left, top, right, that's seen in the bottom portion over here. Same thing again, top, left, top, right, that will be seen in the last row over here, right? So my answer, that has to have this top, left and top, right as the bottom first two elements in the bottom row, right? So this symbol has to, in the bottom row, should have the symbol and then the symbol. I'm having that in option A and also option D. In fact, option D also has that, but option A meets the other logic also. So I'm having a proof of concept again. So this logic also applies to A option. So any logic or any observation I make, that is being seen in option A as well. So by chance, let us say instead of coming up with this logic of L-shaped shift with this shifting to the right hand bottom corner, if I did not think of this logic but came up with this logic first, then using this I can eliminate B and C right away. only option A and D will be left. Then look for some other logic and see, and you can try to eliminate one of these, A or D. So for this particular option, A will be the correct answer. It applies to both the logics which I have looked for with proof of concept. So that's how you'll need to work on these questions. So that's let us look into a few more questions. Now these are questions where you have arrangement, and there's a, so as I told you, the first and second model, it's a combination of it. We have arrangement of elements changing. Let us now see again, there's an arrangement of three types of squares: black, gray and white. There's some other arrangement given over here, some other arrangement over here, and we'll need to see what comes next. So let us try to come up with something which is identifiable change between 1 and 2. Look for the proof of concept in the third one, then you can come up with the answer for the question mark. So if you have you can spend some time to observe it, because I have observed it already. I know the logic, but you can take your time in such questions, and even in this session also you can pause the video, take some time, think for yourselves, see what the answer can be, then you can continue watching the video. That will really be helpful. Now at least one or the first 2 or 3 questions you can watch it right away, but once you know the approach we need to follow in this particular topic, look for a concept or change, proof of concept, apply the logic. So same thing you'll need to look into. So pause the video and look for it. If you're done thinking, you can observe something common. Not only change, it is also important to see what is common. So if you look into this part, and also in fact probably this portion, these squares, they're exactly same in this also. Black, gray, white, black, white, black, gray, white, black. Again, it's black, gray, white, black. These 4 boxes are same. Here, gray, white, black, gray, gray, white, black, gray, gray, white, black, gray. So these 4 boxes, they are same in all the 3. So even in my answer figure, the 4 boxes have to be same. Black, gray, white, black, black, gray, white, black. So all the options meet this rule in fact. These 4 also, gray, white, black, gray, gray, white, black, gray, gray, white, black, gray, gray, white, black, gray. So these 4 are same in all the 4 options. So if you forget about that part, let us see for the remaining portion what is changing. Again, look for a distinct feature over here. What is the distinct feature in the say boxes you have around this, or say fixed? So this is fixed. Forget about this part now. I have simplified the given composition. So the arrangement, there's a sequence where you have 2 black squares together. These 2 black squares are shifting towards the left, right? In the next figure, they're shifting even more further leftwards. So what do you see? That there's a shift towards the left. So if you look into the complete set of squares, if I just write down, let me just write down the sequence of squares starting from these 2 black. Let us say I consider this as the starting point. If I consider this as the starting point, let me write down the sequence. From here, it is black, black, then you have gray, then you have white, then you have gray again, then you have white, then you have gray again, white, gray, black, white, gray, white. So that's the complete say in this manner. You can write it in the anti-clockwise also. If some sequence is seen in the clockwise orientation direction, sequence will be also seen in the say anti-clockwise direction too. So I have looked into the arrangement in the clockwise orientation. It was like this. Let me see if I have the same composition or same arrangement over here. Black, black, gray, white, gray, white, gray, gray. Again it's white, then gray, then black, then white. So you need not look into it till the end. Even if it is seen for some extent, you can understand that it is the same sequence. What is the same sequence is seen over here also. Black, then black again, then gray, then white, then gray, then white. So it is same sequence. But what is the change? There is a shift from option 1 to option 2. There is a shift. So I have seen what is common. Once you know what is common, now see what is changing. The change which you observe is there's a shift towards the left. So there's a This particular sequence, this particular chain, it is basically rotating in the anti-clockwise direction. So there's a shift towards the left, right? So in the next figure, these two have, the black has to shift over here this way, right? It has to rotate further in the anti-clockwise direction. So the answer figure should have two black squares on the top. So it should be like this. The orientation should be this way. Black, black on the top, then gray over here, then white. So the same sequence, but it has to be this way. Something like this, right? So the central part is fixed. So look for the option wherein you have black, black, gray, white. So do I have black, black, gray, white? Not in option A. Black, black, gray, black, black, gray, white. Not in option B. Black, black, gray, white. Not in option C. Only option D has that arrangement. Just to be assured, let me see if I have the complete sequence same in the same say manner. I have black starting. This is the starting point I'm considering, right? Starting from here, black, black, then you have gray, white, gray, white, gray, white, gray, white, then double gray, then you have double gray, then you have white, gray, black, white, white, gray, black, white. So the complete sequence it is being followed. So only option D is meeting the logic which I have applied. So answer has to be option D. If you have sufficient time and if you want to be assured and avoid negative marking, you can spend some time and see what similar change in the lower half part as well. So in the lower half part as well, the central portion is same. I'll just give you a hint. You can work on it yourself and check if that's being seen. So look for the sequence of squares and see the shift. Again, if I see over here in the bottom half, so if I look for these two gray boxes, I'm not taking two black because there are the same two black or pair of black squares. It is being seen twice in this particular lower half, lower rectangle. So I'll be looking for this part. I'll take this as the starting. So these two gray squares, they're shifting over here. The next diagram, they're shifting over here. In the next diagram, the two gray squares should shift over here. These have to be gray and gray. I do have them as gray and gray, right? So there's a clockwise shift in the lower half. The top part, there's an anti-clockwise shift of the sequence. In the bottom half, there's a clockwise shift, one cell forward in the clockwise direction. That's seen in the bottom half. So the same logic, or those two gray are correctly seen in option, but option A was not a correct answer, right? Option D also, do I have the same two gray boxes in the same position? Yes. So D is correct for me because of that reason. It is the same logic is holding for the top and also the bottom rectangle. So to summarize in this question, the top rectangle, the central part is same in both top and bottom, but in the top rectangle, the cells are shifting in the anti-clockwise direction, one box at a time. In the bottom half of the rectangle, there's a clockwise shift, one cell at a time for the sequence. The same sequence should be seen. So you can check, spend some time and see if that's correct or not. But D has to be the correct answer because this logic doesn't apply to any other option. So D has to be the correct answer for this particular question. So moving on. Again, this is an arrangement of elements based question. So there's an arrangement of figures and you have to see what comes in the place of question mark. First things first, see what is common. Common thing which you can observe, again you can pause and try for yourselves. Common thing in all these figures is there is this type of star in the center. The same star should be in the question mark figure also, but that is seen in all the options. Other than that, this particular square, it is a tilted square. Then you have a flat one, again a tilted. So you should again have a flat one. All the options are flat squares. So these are something which are common. So the answer figure, it has to be a flat square. The answer figure should have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-sided star in the center. 8-sided star in the center with a flat square. That's something seen in all the options. But to find out the correct option, you will have to look for the other figures also. The other elements. Now let us see. Are these other elements having the same sequence? Just observe. Because see, why am I looking for the sequence? I had sufficient practice of similar questions and I saw that there's something fixed in the center. There's something following a sequence. So I can apply the same logic over here. Something fixed in the center, sequence of figures. So once you practice enough number of questions, you will be in a place to answer these questions much faster then someone without practice will able to answer with. So that time becomes very important. So something fixed in the center, and let us see if this is a sequence. So any shape which is easily distinctly visible for you, you can look for it. So for me, let us say I'm looking for this particular star, this particular five-pointed star. Let us say the five-pointed star, or let us say yin yang. I have this yin yang and then the five-pointed star. The yin yang and the five-pointed star, they are together. Yin yang and five-pointed star, they are together. So what do I observe? That these are basically following a particular sequence. You can see there's a star, then yin yang, then a flower, star, yin yang, and then a flower. So you see that the complete sequence, it is same in all the figures. So the sequence, anywhere you start, they are same, right? Starting from the star, the complete sequence, it is same. You can take your time and check. I'm always ending at this particular symbol, right? Now, what is the change you see? Let us look for the change between 1 and 2. Look for the proof of concept, then come up with this figure. So let me talk about this particular five-pointed star. In the next figure, 1, the box is rotating by say this angle of 45 degrees. This is a 45-degree angle. It's rotating by 45 degrees, the complete box. Other than that, there's a shift in the figures also. This particular star, it is shifting over here, right? And the yin yang is shifting over here. The flower is further shifting over here. Flower is coming over here. In the next figure, there should again be a 45-degree rotation. Let us see if you have a shift of the figures one at a time. The flower should go to the top. So once you rotate this by 45 degrees, what would be the position of the star? Say once I rotate it by 45 degrees, the star would be, and then once I rotate it by 45 degrees, I also need to shift the position of the star, right? So it has to come to the center. Is it coming to the center? Then the yin yang goes to the top. This comes to the center, yin yang to the top. So in the next figure, again rotated by 90 degrees, the star should basically reach at this particular point, right? Then the yin yang should be over here, right? So star, then the yin yang. If I look into the orientation of the yin yang, if I follow that correctly, this has to be a horizontal one, right? Like this. So I have star and yin yang over here. This can be the answer. Star and yin yang, this can be the answer. Star and yin yang is not found in the top part. So this is not an answer. Star and yin yang not found here. So this also is not an answer. From A and B, now even after thinking so much of time, I have two options even now. Let us have let us look for the other part also and eliminate one more option. So what should be the figure? So let us say there is a shift, right? So this yin yang is moving further, and the flower has to be after the yin yang. There has to be a flower. That is also same over here, right? The flower is over here, right? Other than that, I have this symbol over here. That is also same in both. So now, once you find that there are two options almost following every point which I'm thinking of, the best way to be to think it in reverse direction. See what is different between A and B. So A and B are meeting all what I'm thinking of. So let us first take out some time and see what is different between A and B. So A and B, the only difference you see is the orientation of these points. Other than that, there's a difference in the orientation of this particular inner circle. So what has to be the right orientation? Let us look for that. So this circle with a horizontal bar, then that is rotating over here. You have a circle with a horizontal bar that is rotating further, circle with a horizontal bar. When you rotate it further, this particular circle, it has to have a circle with that horizontal bar will now become vertical line, right? Initially it was this way, that's becoming horizontal, that's becoming this way. The next case, it should obviously be a vertical line. So option B has to be the right answer. This again is a question where, so this you can practice. I'll upload these set of questions for you onto the app. You can practice it yourselves too. But let me just give you an overview, a hint on it so that you can work on it further. So in this particular sequence, there is some particular arrangement. Other than that, there's a shading also. So it is fading away. This is darker. It is becoming a bit lighter, a bit more lighter. Then it becomes even more. It should become even more lighter. And if you observe the options also, I think option A and C are same in terms of arrangement. Only the lightness and darkness is different. Similarly, option B and D are also exactly same, only lightness and darkness are different. So the answer has to be a lighter one. So A and D can be eliminated. So as far as arrangement is considered, you have to select either B or C. So see again what is basically changing. Now nothing is fixed in the center here, so that also is changing. So if you see, if I just talk about it, let me call this as F. This F, it is shifting up over here. That F is shifting further up over here, upwards over here. So probably that, so if there's a shift in the clockwise direction like this, the F ideally should go to the next position. So that's how probably you can think. See if F is going, so option C, just don't look for F. To be assured on it, look for the other objects also and see if you're having a correct, change or not. You can say probably look for this. Easily identifiable feature, something this one, let us say. It is shifting over here, so the clockwise shift, that's further shifting over here. So ideally the U, this symbol should reach over here. So in the answer figure, this symbol should reach over here. The F symbol should be over here. F over there, this over here. So option C probably can be right. That is the right answer. So this is how you have to think on it. So look for what is changing and apply the same logic to the question mark. So that's how you can work with it. Let us now look into the last model, a few questions of miscellaneous type as well, which probably do not fit into the categories we have observed. For instance, this question. This is a past UCEED question from 2024. There are, so it's like this. So it's kind of a question based on the analogy or say coding, decoding also. This plus this is giving you the next one. This and this is giving you the next one. This and this should give you the next one, right? So it's like coding, decoding itself. So if you spend some, again, it is kind of hit and trial, look for something common. So if I talk about my approach, I probably started by seeing if there is a trend which you can observe. So two over here, the same two are shifting over here. But if you observe, how many dots are you having? There are six over here, six over here. I don't know how many. Here you have six, six and three, six, six and three. So will the answer, should the answer have only three dots? Probably yes. There are three options with three dots, but one with four. So why would they give such a simple, a simple option where you can easily eliminate? So you should not right away eliminate it. Take some time and see. I cannot say, okay, eliminate option A. Take some time and see why did they even give an option with four dots, right? So if you you need to see these red and blue together, how are they giving you this outcome? So because I have red and blue, with that I have to bring some outcome. So this red and blue, how did I get this outcome? If I see what is common in these two, so the common dot is this part, right? So that is given over here. In this arrangement, first and third, first and second, so the common dot will be this one, the first one. So they have given the first dot. In this, first and second, first and last, the common is first, right? So first dot again. So something which is common in the red arrangement and blue arrangement, that is shaded in the third figure. What is common in red and blue arrangement in the first row? In the first row, the central part is common, so that is given. In the second row, the common is the first circle, so that is given. In the third row, what is common? Again the first circle, so that is given. So look for what is common in the white and the red and blue arrangement. That has to be the answer. So in the first row, the common part will basically be this one. So if I draw the answer figure this way, I should have a circle over here. Let me use some other color so that it is easily visible to you. So let me draw the grid. What is common in red and blue? This is common, so I need to have a circle over here. Other than that, what is common in the second row? This is common. And in the third row, both are common. So here and also here. So you see my answer is having four circles. So option A is the correct answer. So red and blue, common part is shaded in the third. So this is not necessarily translation or change in position or rotation or elements arranged in some manner, because I don't have the same elements in all. So to apply this elements, arrangement of elements, you have to have the same elements in all the figures of options and the question. Same elements in all the figures of the question and also the options. That is not seen over here. I don't have the same elements in all the figures, right? So it means there is some particular coding in it. 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. So that logic, so that's how you need to see if there are common elements in all the figures of the question and also the options. So that's how you need to work. So the correct answer for this question will be option A. One more last question of this model. Now, this is, however, not the end. There are a lot more practice questions of similar standard, which you can practice from our app. Once you enroll into the test, into this course, for all the subject, all the topics, you will be having practice questions of this, of similar sort, which you can take time to practice. We have, from our end, we try our best to provide practice questions for almost all the topics as possible. So you can practice those questions also, whichever are available for you. So what will replace the question mark? That's the question over here. So again, look for what is common. So I have observed, you can count the number of circles. So if you count the number of circles, you have the same number of circles in all these question figures, but all the answer figures also have the same number of circles. If not, you can probably eliminate. But something which you observe also over here is, starts with a part of a circle, ends with a full circle. Here, starts with a full circle, ends with a part circle. Again, this starts with a part circle, ends with a full circle. This starts with a full circle, ends with a part circle. So applying this logic, the next question mark figure, that should start with a part circle and should end with a full circle. Start with a part circle, end with a full circle. So B and D, A can be eliminated, C can be eliminated. So either B or D. Now, other than circles, they also have given a sequence of colors. It is starting with the shades of green, and it is shifting towards the shades of violet. So again, having a shade of green cannot be an answer, right? So this is the same shade. That's not repetitive. I should have a shade which is something similar to this violet. So option B because of that. So you have to look for the arrangement of the elements. Also have to look sometimes for the color. Like a similar logic was applied over here too. Darker and lighter shade. So why have I eliminated A and D? Because they are darker. I'm moving towards a lighter shade. So B or C, so lighter tone. So B or D should be the answer. B or C should be the answer over here. Applying same logic, the sequence of change in the color, that also you have to observe, and that's how you get B as the correct answer for this particular question. So I hope that was helpful for you. I hope some basic tricks, you have an idea on it. Once you put it to practice, you'll have a lot of confidence. And remember, in both CEED and UCEED examination, at least one or two questions have been seen in last CEED examination also. At least 2 questions from MCQ generally will be based on this concept. So practice and make sure you do not miss out scoring on these simple questions in the examination. We will meet again in the next lecture of this particular series. Thank you for watching the video.
KP classes dedicated to excellence.